Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
So this is a Las Vegas real estate market update for April of 2022. We're also going to do Henderson. We're going to do North Las Vegas, and we're going to break all three markets into homes and condos. So I have 16 slides, so it may take us a while to get through it. This is going to give you a good idea what's going on in the whole Las Vegas Valley. Normally, we just really focus on Las Vegas because that's kind of the big market. Henderson's, you could basically call it a suburb, and then North Las Vegas is essentially another suburb. Las Vegas data also includes unincorporated Clark County, for those who don't understand, because the city of Las Vegas is actually not that big. It includes all of Las Vegas. It's not in, so it's most of the south part of town, the east part of town, the west, and all that. And it's pretty far, the whole northwest is all Las Vegas, okay? It's really the northeast is North Las Vegas and the southeast is Henderson. Okay, so we're going to start with the first one. We always show you the market action index. It's 80. It hasn't really changed. If you look at the last month, it was the same. It was 80 last month.
Right.
And we normally see it like this is kind of where it peaks this time of year, and then it backs off to like maybe 70 in the fall or something. Inventory, as you can see, this is the normal annual thing. This happens every year, April. April into May, the inventory it's at the lowest point. Now, like Juana was saying, actually the most houses are transacting right now.
Right.
But why is inventory so low? Because what does that inventory number mean?
Well, it means that these homes have been bought up because they're getting bought up as quickly as they come on the market. Okay,
so inventory is the number of homes in active status without, once it gets an offer, it's not in inventory.
Right. The way our MLS works is the inventory numbers are the homes that are actually on the market, not the homes that are coming soon, not the homes that have accepted offers. So it's just the homes that are supposedly available for sale, which is a very small number this time of year, relatively speaking, because homes sell as soon as they come on the market or sell even before they come on the market when they're in coming soon status.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is, remember, some of these houses, it's not like they're just sitting around pining, waiting for some buyer to come make an offer. Probably most of them are actually negotiating offers.
Right.
Like while we're sitting here talking to you, they have offers going back and forth, and probably more than one.
Right.
Okay, the next one, median days on the market, this is doing its normal thing, is you see all those downs or basically when the market's hot, which is in the spring, and then into the summer. So you're going to see this year it's still kind of going down. So what that means to me is because the trend line is still going down, it probably is not going to like taper off in May or June. It's probably going to keep being pretty hot market.
Right. So what's interesting is because Vegas gets so hot in the summer, by the end of the summer our real estate market cools off because people don't want to be out in the heat. However, with the shortage of inventory and with so many people clamoring to buy homes, I think that they're going to stay out in the heat and they're going to keep house shopping.
Now, what we're going to do is we just showed you a couple basic numbers, right? Those are houses. These are single family homes. We're now jump to condos. Market action index, 93. That's a super hot market.
It is, but remember, this is because condos are at a lower price point, so there's more demand because more people can afford them. And also they don't make up as large of a market as single family homes. So less inventory than single family homes, more buyers out to buy them. That's how we get to the 94 versus the 80 for single family homes.
Some interesting things here too. The median list price is $299, which is pretty low. Price per square foot, $260 is pretty high for a condo. It's in line with the houses. But remember, they're lower priced because they tend to be smaller. And then median days on the market's really low. We're going to go into all these numbers here. We're going to look at the graphs. Median days on market. This is the median days on market. Notice last year in 2021, it just tanked overnight in like July. The median days on the market went from like 80 to under 20.
Right.
And right now it's in the single digits, high single digits. That's how, when you look at that 7-day average there, it's closer to 0 than it is to 20. It's about 7.
Right.
That's crazy because remember, it takes 3 days sometimes just to negotiate a deal.
Or longer.
Yeah, so these things are flying off the market. And here's something interesting. So Juana and I actually went through And we understand the market pretty well. And sometimes we just like to surf listings and stuff. So we were surfing through a subdivision of condo complex. And the houses, I mean, looked pretty, like these are old units. These are not like, these weren't condo converted 15 years ago. These are old units. Look pretty nice.
Yeah, it was really interesting because these were built like in the 80s and they were pretty nice. So there's a lot of renovation going on out there, which again is putting pressure on home builders because there's a limited labor supply and limited material supply. I was chatting with somebody regarding redoing a condo, and it's a small condo, like 1,100 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And I said, well, okay, if I want to get new paint, luxury vinyl flooring, baseboards, and quartz countertops, paint everything, including the cabinets, how much? And he says, well, between 15 and 20. I said, really? Between 15 and 20,000 for an 1,100 square foot condo? He goes, yeah. You know, if I can even get the materials.
Right.
You know, and he's generally very reasonable. So I was surprised because, you know, as far as renovating houses, this is something that either we do to properties that we own, or we help our clients do that. So I'm always in the middle of doing some kind of renovation for somebody, and it even surprised me because we had just redone somebody else's property, and it was about 18,000, and that one is about 1,400 square feet. So, you know, that kind of gives you perspective that here we are 300 square feet less, and it's going to be more money, which I was very surprised.
If you search the channel for flip or renovation or anything like that, you'll find some of the videos that we've done on some previous properties to give you perspective of how much the costs are now to mainly get the materials and get stuff done. Back in the day, we flipped a house in Piccoli Ranch, and the only thing it needed was painting. It needed it pretty badly, but the house was ready to go. And it was a trustee sale purchase. It was $1,300 to paint two-tone paint throughout the house on a 2,000 square foot 4-bedroom house. And then I threw in $100 and had him paint the garage, like the interior of the garage, because it was fully sheetrocked. But I wanted it painted to look nice. It's $1,400, including the garage. Two-tone, it was really nice. It was the REO beige and the white.
Right, so at this point, I think that we would pay that in materials alone.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, now we're going to jump to Henderson. This is for houses. You're probably thinking, oh, Henderson, 77 market action index. That's pretty chillin'. But median list price, $650.
Right.
Okay, it's a... Remember what happens when the homes get to be more expensive? Like you just saw Vegas condos, which are cheaper and they're flying off the market. Now there's some more expensive homes, right? And Henderson, explain Henderson. Like how is it different demographically from Vegas?
So Henderson's more like a bedroom community. It doesn't have the glitz that Vegas does. It's much more conservative, lots of parks. And there really are, if you will, three Hendersons, the way I see it. There's Old Henderson, there's Green Valley, and then there's New Henderson. And by New Henderson, I mean the whole master plan community of Inspirata and all of that up there. So those are kind of a little bit different, but together they're very expensive. I mean, Old Henderson is probably the least expensive out of those. And
it's old. It's the original Henderson that was there in the 50s and 60s, right. The old downtown.
Right. So Green Valley has for a long time been very attractive, and people want to live there. Good schools, nice homes. They've got a library. They've got all kinds of nice community amenities. It's lots of parks, lots of trails, all the things that make it a good quality of life for Henderson. And it's the things that have made Henderson one of the best places to live in the nation because they have all of these quality of life amenities. Inspirata is the newest jewel in Henderson. It's a massive master plan community, and it's beautiful. It's brand new. Again, it kind of keeps that same theme that Henderson has as far as having parks and trails and all of that. And it's very nice. And so you're dealing with all of this that is much more expensive because Inspirata is huge and it's from our perspective, all brand new homes, right? They've been built over the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, it's super nice.
So because they've been built over the last 5 years or so, and they're still continuing to build out there, these homes are very expensive. They are on much smaller lots than, for example, homes in Green Valley, and they are much more expensive because of where we are in the market.
Okay, here's a chart of median list price for Henderson. These are for houses. You can see the trend. It looks just like what's happening in Vegas. The markets basically are adjacent to each other. Matter of fact, if you're driving down Eastern going south toward the airport, on the right-hand side is Henderson, on the left-hand side is Vegas. And then you cross the street and everything is Vegas. And so it's kind of like, it has that delineation there.
Well, I think the thing that I didn't mention about Henderson is that I think overall Henderson has more luxury communities than Vegas. When you consider the number of homes in all of Henderson and the amount of luxury, I think there's more luxury in Henderson than there is in Vegas when you look at it that way. Because remember, Vegas has all kinds of higher end homes, but Henderson has these really massive luxury custom homes, and they're super expensive. I mean, we're talking 8 figures.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of luxury there, and that's part of the reason why Henderson takes a little bit longer to sell, because we're looking at a higher price point for these homes.
Okay, here's the interesting thing about Henderson. This inventory, you can see it's doing pretty much the same thing Vegas is doing. Same thing last year in the spring, it was pretty low, but under 500 houses available. And remember how that works. If you have 500 houses, you have a bunch of them being under, that are being negotiated. So it's not really 500. And so it like Wanda said, it does have more luxury areas because it's newer and they're not stuck with just old. You can't just take old neighborhoods. They sort of have a clean slate because these have desert.
Right.
So builders come in and want to build the most expensive homes they can to get more money out of out of it. Plus, and land is expensive, so you can't just go build small houses on them anymore. Right,
and we've done this before. We've shown you in videos where builders are building the identical home in Henderson versus the identical home in North Las Vegas at the same time, and the price difference is $100,000 or better for the exact same home.
Okay, now what we're going to show you is the next one is going to be condos in Henderson, okay? 93, that's the market action index. Median list price is 365. Remember, it was only 299 in Vegas. There are not many condo communities. There's not a ton of them. They tend to be newer. They tend to be a little nicer. Median days on the market is very low, as you can see there. Median list price, but you can see what's going on. These things didn't change for years. For probably the last 3 or 4 years, they basically stayed the same. Matter of fact, it says median list prices were under 250. And then all of a sudden, last year, so all of you're seeing here is basically within the last year. Boom. They just basically said, hey, we're going to add over $100,000 of value to every one of these because, people came in the market and said, oh, I can't buy a house, I'm priced out. So they went to the condo market, right?
And same thing with investors, that they've gone to the condo market too because it's more affordable for them.
The next slide we're going to show you here, this is still Henderson, this is homes. Now we show this slide when we do the market updates for Vegas. Now there's 4 numbers there, and they're the 4 quarters. The top quarter, and that's the median of the quarter. So if you took the top 25% of homes that sold in the last year, right? And you looked at the price, it's $2.25 million. Remember Vegas, it was $1.2 million. So it's $1 million more for a median top quarter home.
Right.
And now these things do stay on the market a little while, 49 days on the market. But remember, they're luxury homes, they have a smaller buying pool. What's really cool is this bottom quarter, it was, I think, 369 in Vegas, it's 450 in Henderson. But it's 7 days on the market.
Right.
So, and then you can see that as the homes get bigger, 575, 750, the amount of days on the market. You can also see that these tend to be on pretty decent sized lots. And that as the homes get more expensive, they get bigger as far as the number of bedrooms and everything like that. So that's a pretty interesting thing. So it is definitely, it's part of the same MLS. So when people say Vegas, sometimes they mean the whole thing. I'm sort of native, right? So there was no such thing as Henderson. Henderson didn't exist when I was a kid. The Green Valley and all that wasn't there. Henderson was just this town on Boulder Highway that went out to Boulder City. It was a little town, like a pit stop out there, because it was all desert. There was nothing else out there, and there were some factories and other stuff out there. It wasn't safe. Matter of fact, it had a high school, but it was the smallest high school, not including Bishop Gorman. It was a super small high school. And okay, now we're going to talk about North Las Vegas. Now, before we show this chart here, explain demographically like why it's different from Las Vegas, because it's significantly different from Henderson, right?
It is. It's very different from Henderson, but it's starting to kind of acquire a similar flavor. It's kind of curating that when you go into the Northwest. So North Las Vegas is a separate city, just like Henderson is a separate city. They have their own city hall, their own mayor, their own police force, and so on, just like Henderson does. So, but North Las Vegas is also benefiting from all of this growth. So they've got all these brand new subdivisions that are going up, and they are building, again, quite a bit of luxury. Now, not luxury when you compare it to Henderson, where it's 8 figures for luxury. This is 7 figures for luxury, but this is North Las Vegas that, never saw anything close to this in the past.
Yeah.
So they are definitely moving up in the world in that way. But they still have more affordable housing, so they still have homes in the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 price range, but they're definitely pushing homes that are well over $1 million up there as well. So it's kind of interesting to see that. Those communities in Sky Canyon that I'm talking about that are brand new communities, that are luxury communities, again, they have parks and trails and all the things. So that's what I'm saying, that they're kind of getting a Henderson vibe up there. So they are getting some of the same amenities, which is probably why the prices are also starting to resemble Henderson prices.
When you're in the north part of Las Vegas and you're driving east toward Nellis, you don't realize you just switched towns from Las Vegas to North Las Vegas. But there's this road called Decatur. So everything east of Decatur that's north is North Las Vegas, and everything west of Decatur is Las Vegas. So it's kind of like these things where the town is run together. If you look at it from above, it looks like one city, but it's actually 3 cities. Most of it's Las Vegas. But then you have these 2 pieces that are these other towns, and they are distinctly different. Market Action Index of 94, that's a super hot market, and the reason it's hot is because of the price point. These are... The median price per square foot is $236. That's the lowest, but compared to Henderson, which was $300, and Vegas, which is like $270.
Right.
So these are they're probably investors. There's a lot of investors purchasing up there. People are just buying up there because it's a little less expensive.
It is less expensive, yeah. And especially if you're an investor and you kind of calculate your rate of return. So if you can buy a house, if you can buy the same exact house from the exact same builder that is being built at the same exact time, and you're paying, for example, $350 in North Las Vegas, you're going to pay $450 in Henderson simultaneously. Now your rent difference is not going to be sufficient to cover that $100,000 difference. So if you're an investor, then North Las Vegas all of a sudden becomes much more attractive. Same thing if you're a regular home buyer. If you are agnostic about where you want to live, and you don't necessarily need to be in Henderson, and you just like this floor plan, you just like this house, then there's no reason to not be in North Las Vegas, where you can get the same exact house for considerably less money. The communities are nice. It is a nice place to live, and it's changing. It is. You've got the old part of North Las Vegas, like Todd was talking about, out toward Nellis, but then you've got the new part of North Las Vegas, which is the Northwest, which is a completely different demographic, a completely different price point. To kind of give you perspective, the homes out by Nellis are maybe $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. The homes in the Northwest, you couldn't touch something for under $500,000. There's no way. So it is definitely changing up there.
Median rents there are $2,200 for North Las Vegas. This shows the chart. You could basically the same thing happened. Prices were nicely chugging along, Remember, it took off in Vegas first. Took off in Vegas first. Took off in Henderson second. North Las Vegas been the last one. Basically, people said, I can't buy in Vegas anymore. I'll go to North Las Vegas. And you can see what happened here, how prices have gone up. Based on that trajectory, it doesn't look like it's slowing down. The other thing here is inventory. This is not a joke. The bottom line is 0, and that index number is like 200. So the inventory is actually like 200 houses on the market. That's under, because North Las Vegas is a pretty decent sized city.
It is.
It's a decent sized city, and it has 200 houses available in the whole city. It's a big city. This is a market segment. As you can see, it looks more like a normal, like what you would expect to see from Las Vegas. Actually, probably 2 years ago, Vegas probably had these similar numbers, except for the bottom numbers would have been a little lower. Your median top value a couple years ago would have been five or 600,000, not 1.2 million. But everything here flies off the market. The top quarter of homes, 14 days, everything else 7 days. And these are bigger homes too. 2,700 square foot are the median for the top quarter. But remember, they tend to be more tract homes. There's a lot of builders just building tract homes up there. And it's just based on where they are in the building cycle of building everything out. This is condos for North Las Vegas, also a smoking hot market, 93. What's interesting about this is the median list price, of course, 359, but the total inventory, 22. Though that is not 22 days on the market, it's 22. Median days on the market, zip.
Right.
That means over half the houses sell basically in pre-listing, which we have in our MLS. So what pre-listing means is I put it in the MLS under pre-listing status. You can't show it. It's not really listed. The countdown timer doesn't start for days on the market, right? And then somebody sends in an offer, we accept it. And then what we do is we go in the MLS and it goes right from pre-listing to under contract. And the MLS is, it was on the market 0 days.
Right.
And it gives it a 0. These 0% relisted, 0% were relisted.
Right. Well, there's no reason to relist them because
they're flying off the market.
They're selling. Now, part of the reason why there's nothing on the market is because North Las Vegas has very few condos and townhouses. So that's part of the reason. But of course, the other part is the price point. It's the most affordable piece of real estate in the valley. So they are going to fly off the market.
This is a chart of the inventory. This is for condos in North Las Vegas. You can see that bottom number 0 and that set. The first line above it's 20. So it's below that. It's pretty pathetic there. And then you can see median list price there. You can see that condos were hovering about 200K, and then boom, decided to take off just a year ago. Prices. So if you bought your condo in North Las Vegas a year ago, you look like a genius to everybody. So those were kind of those were the slides we wanted to show you. Basically, what we wanted to give you an idea of is what's going on in 6 segments. So 3 cities, houses, and condos. The houses number does include townhomes. Townhomes are also included in the townhome number. Las Vegas is an interesting thing because we have townhomes that are single-family residential. They're just attached. So it's maybe a duplex. So it's 2 units. But when you think of a duplex, usually you own the whole duplex and you like live in one side and rent out the other, and it's one ownership unit. But here in Vegas, we have a lot of these things where, because it was cheaper, the builder would build 2 houses on one lot with a common wall, single car garage. These are all over Spring Valley where I grew up. And then they're small, but they saved on lots. You don't have a big lot, but the entry level price was a lot less.
Right.
And even today, those houses are probably low 2s, right?
Right.
For those houses. They're like 800 square foot 2-bedroom houses.
Right.
Kind of central in Las Vegas. And you could still go out and buy them. They're just not, don't expect granite or, luxury vinyl or whatever. Expect like the little metal blinds that are all broken up and tile floor that probably has chips in it and stuff.
In all fairness, some of them have been renovated and are super nice.
Some of them have been. They're super nice. Yes. Basically, we've been talking about this for a while. There's just too much demand compared to the inventory. And I get criticized for saying low inventory too many times, but that's really the problem. New home builders are not they're not flooding in here for the two reasons Juana mentioned.
Right. So, that we have the labor problem, we have the material problem. In the Las Vegas area, we also have land problem. And you're saying, what? You guys are in the middle of the desert, you've got tons of land. Well, sort of. All the land around us is owned by the federal government, and we are at their mercy for when they decide to put any of the land up for sale, and that's what the builders wait for, and that's what the builders buy, is the land that's up for sale by the federal government. And without saying anything disparaging about our glorious federal government, they run on their own timeline, and they're not influenced by the needs of the community as far as our need for land to put up more homes.
Yeah, and the other thing too, remember, is that every time they put up land, for land for sale for people to build on, it impacts the water use.
Right.
In Las Vegas, it impacts a lot of things. And they're trying to balance, there's a lot of moving parts that are happening at the same time, right? That's how economies work. And the magic thing about, supply and demand is price is the moving thing. That's the ultimate, the number that all these things happen. So you have people moving here, that pushes up demand. You have builders that aren't building fast enough, that limits, that shifts the supply curve, okay? You could argue right now, well, the market's in disequilibrium. And I would say, no, it's actually in equilibrium. It's in equilibrium for the current situation. We were in disequilibrium 15 years ago because it was fake. It was based on a bunch of fake, the fake loans that were everyone could go buy a bunch of loans, and builders building like crazy, and then people just speculating like crazy. There's no speculation in this market. I mean, there's literally almost everybody is moving here. They're moving here. They need a house to live in. Right. This is not that as soon as they close on it, they're going to go flip it. The only houses being flipped right now are the ones where they need it. Okay, and there is, and it's very difficult for those people to go even get the houses, because the flippers have to compete with all the other flippers, and they also have to compete with owner occupants too, and they also have to compete with the banks and the hedge funds who are buying houses, and there is no trustee sale. We went over the trustee numbers. You can search the page for the foreclosure numbers, but there are none. We're averaging 20 or 30 a month for the whole Clark County, 400,000 houses. So there's zero. They're not effectively able to buy any. Like I said, if they get them, they're lucky. We used to go down there and there would be 60 houses every day being auctioned. And there were probably 30 people down there, everyone trying to get a couple houses with a bunch, their money, investors' money, and everyone could get a house you could literally, at the end of the day, walk away with a house 30 to 40,000 under market value, and it would be a $170,000 house in Summerlin that you would get for $130, because everyone down there just didn't have unlimited funds to buy houses. They were trying to flip them and then get money back to come back to trustee sale, right? And then BlackRock showed up, and then they showed up with a big team of people, and they just bought everything, at basically 90% of market value. And the flippers were like, well, we can't flip them anymore because they're too expensive.
But BlackRock wasn't looking to flip them, so they could do that.
Right. They just said, hey, we're just going to rent them out. That's what they were doing in Tampa. And then I think they were doing it in Phoenix too. And there was another entity from SoCal that was in here doing it too, that was trying to build it. And they actually got wiped out. They got kicked out of the market too because they were flipping it. And then BlackRock came in and said, hey, no, we're just going to buy them and hold on to them, which now, that's kind of a brilliant thing. So the bottom line is, this is kind of a long video, but every month we look at the same numbers. Until inventory starts to climb, prices are going to go up. That's just the bottom line, because people are still going to keep buying. We're hoping interest rates will put a dampen on the buying, but I don't know.
They will. I mean, it will definitely affect buying. It will affect the buyer pool, but I don't think it's going to be a cold shower. I don't think it'll be that. I think it's just going to be a more gentle slowdown. That's all.
I think so.
So if you like data-driven information, if you like graphs and all of this data, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, share the video, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.